Are you ready for the best damn radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that that's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, still listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs. You know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA. We the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live all through your speakers. Go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckasha here with the Man Hour. Be sure to head over to manhourradio.com and check out the merchandise page. We got fresh new merch over there. We got the Beastie merch. We got the Team Buck merch. Of course, we got the Takeaway 22 merch here. Every day, 22 American soldiers do commit suicide, and the Takeaway 22 merch is to help raise awareness to that. All proceeds from the Takeaway 22 merch does go to non-profit organizations to help people with PTSD and all that kind of stuff. But guys, we do got a great show for you lined up today. We're going to talk a lot of Green Bay Packers. We're going to talk some NFL overtime rules. Albert Pujols calling it a career. But we have to welcome the man, the myth, the legend himself, the birthday boy, Mr. Torry Anderson. What's up, Torry?
I'm old. I'm extremely old. I'm surprised I'm awake. I'm surprised I'm awake still. I didn't go for my early bird dinner. I should be getting my AARP card in the mail any day now.
Yeah, that's a win-win there, Torry. But I am glad to have you back on the show. And since you've been gone, there's been a lot of stuff happening in the world of football. But we have to ask, how are you doing? How have you been?
Busy. The whole new career thing. Got a lot of different irons in the fire. Whole lot of stuff to figure out yet. Still working on everything. Eventually, I will make my way home, though.
You will make your way home, and there's always a home for you right here. Because look at this koozie that I got. Go Pack Go, man! How cool is that?
I'm not a koozie guy because drink up. Don't let your beer get warm. Don't be a pussy.
Well, the only reason why I bought this because I could not get the we actually got a cheese brawl, but I was talking about the striped overalls that everybody has up there. That's what I really wanted to get, so I settled for a koozie. So
I mean, anytime you want those, Buck, I go up to Green Bay quite a bit. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if you know that, but I'm originally from that area. So.
Oh, I had no idea at all. So Alpha Rob is in the chat. He says, "What's up, guys? What's up, Alpha Rob?" And says, "Buck, you need a new background." Yes, I just moved into my new studio here, and the painting is not done yet. So I'm going to put my college helmet there, my MVP trophy that I got from the Kansas City Chiefs from Hoffy a couple years ago, and then right here on this wall, Torry, I have a picture of my son taking a big old dookie, right? A big old dookie in the middle of the yard. And there's going to be a Lamar Jackson head right there. So it's going to be fantastic. So you guys are going to be in for a treat. So if I can get that past the wife, but Lamar Jackson will be getting shit on every day here on the Man Hour.
That's a big if right there.
Hey, so I spoiled her tonight, Torry. So she loves Pizza Hut. I got her some Pizza Hut. I gave her a back rub. I put her TV on, or I put her phone on the TV so she could go through all of her pictures and talk about them. I am warming that oven up to get that Lamar Jackson and my son shitting on him here. So
you're trying to warm it up for something else?
No, I'm married. You know that doesn't happen, Torry. Come on, man. Alpha Rob says you need to get a Bills logo back there. Actually, since Cindy is a huge Von Miller fan, I do have a Von Miller Buffalo Bills jersey on order. So maybe when she's not hearing it, I'll hang it up there, Rob. I mean, that'd be good, right? Because Von Miller is a good guy. Just don't have to like him, like his team, like the player, right?
Does she want Devontae Adams Nike Pro Force whatever jersey. I got one for sale.
How much are you asking for it, Torry?
$20.
All right, sold. I'll get it for her. So speaking of Davante Adams, Torry, since you've been gone, a lot of things have been happening in Green Bay Packerland, and one of the things has been that Davante Adams has officially left Green Bay for Las Vegas. As a Packers fan, Torry, this is you as a fan talking here, not as a media person, not as a part owner, not being objective. How do you feel about Davante Adams really leaving Green Bay?
I'm fine with it. Like, I'm absolutely 110% fine with it. Green Bay, when Davante was out over the last 7 games he's missed, Green Bay 7-0. They don't lose. The thing is it forces Aaron to spread the ball a lot more. Allen Lazard is built almost the exact same as Davante Adams. He is an extremely good route runner. Right as of right now, roster as is today, he's the number 1 receiver on that team right now. They've lost quite a few other guys, but I'm okay with it because they were not going to be able to afford Aaron and Davante. Last time I checked, one guy had 4 MVPs, the other one didn't have any.
Right. But also on the flip side of the coin, one is almost 40 and one's like 30.
Well, you also got one that's 29 years old. You're going to see how good he is without a Hall of Fame quarterback now. And, again, the one thing the Packers have been really good at over the last decade or so is knowing when to let a receiver walk. They knew when to let Greg Jennings walk. They knew when to let James Jones walk. They knew when to let Jordy Nelson walk. Like, it's everybody can whine and cry and yell all they want. This is their MO. All they do is let them walk and reload. That's what they've done. The only thing that I could see that the Packers might pull a surprise move on this year is actually take a receiver with one of their 2 first-round picks in the first round. And I think it's going to dictate how the board falls, whether they take one at 22 or 29. So we've seen the Packers reload year in and year out, and you are speculating that they're going to take a receiver here in the first round. What receiver do you think is going to land for you guys? It depends. It all depends on how the boards fall. If at 22, if Olave's there, you take Olave. If he's not, you wait at 29 and see if Traylon Burks from Arkansas is there, and you probably go after Traylon Burks.
Who do you want?
I mean, as much as it pains me to say I want an Ohio State guy on my team. I would take Olave in a heartbeat. If he's there at 22, I am snagging him. Any other year, Olave's probably a top 10, maybe 15 pick. If he falls to you at 22, you do not let him fall past.
So with that being said, you guys do have 2 first-round picks, 22 and 29. Do you package a deal to move up to 15, 14, 13 range?
Again, not the Packers' MO. Usually to try to move up. That's not it. There is no must-get receiver. There's a lot of free agent receivers out there that they don't have a lot of money. They're going to wait out the free agency frenzy and see who they can get on a bargain basement deal, like maybe a Julio Jones who's still sitting out there, a Jarvis Landry who's still sitting out there. There's a lot of stuff there. They make a move for a team that's looking to get draft capital. So, maybe a Laviska Shenault from Jacksonville that you could get for probably a 4th or a 5th rounder. Yeah. There's just so many different things. They could be looking at the market to see if there's a receiver out there that needs a change of scenery. Could be better. Again, they are really good, and they've always been good as an organization at seeing something in receivers that other people don't. Like when they took Jordy Nelson in the 2nd round, everybody was like, who the hell is that at that time? When they moved up and they took Greg Jennings, everybody's like, why? Same thing with Davante. They had like a 3rd or a 4th round pick on Davante, and they took him. So, they've been really good with the keen eye on the receivers. I think the receivers will be fine, and I actually do think Aaron gets input into that this time around. Otherwise, he probably did not sign that deal. And again, it came down to, you're going to keep Aaron or Davante? You can't have your cake and eat it too. There's no way financially for that to work. Even though they're saying the Packers offered him the same deal, I don't see it. You would have had to cut, I don't know how many guys on your team.
Yeah, or restructure a lot of contracts and make them into signing bonuses or something like that, or like I'm not
Well,
sure
they had to.
how
They
that
had to do
works.
that. They had to do that anyways because they were $48 million over the cap. I mean, they cut Zadarius Smith to save $15 million, and they still are I think they still have like a $20 million dead money cap hit on him. There's like 15 this year and like 5 million next year.
That's
Like
just, that's
it's
just crazy. To me. So one thing that you said here is you are hoping that you could maybe find a free agent receiver on the low end here. As a Packers fan, there are a number of receivers that are still out there, and you named them: Julio Jones, Landry, Antonio Brown. Are there any receivers that you want to see the Packers possibly make a play for here in the next week or two?
I would love to see him make a play for Jarvis Landry. I think Jarvis Landry would fit in perfect to that offense. He's a great route runner, and that's the thing. That's Green Bay, as you can tell, our receivers are all slow except for MVS, but they look for great route runners, and Jarvis Landry is a great route runner. A thing to keep your eye on is now with Devontae Parker potentially being on the trading block in Miami. I could see Green Bay, maybe if the price is right, going after a Devontae Parker to get somebody that's kind of a speed receiver for them. They got to see how the market. They got to see how the market plays out because MVS going to Kansas City for $36 million.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. The guy drops half the balls that are right in his hands.
Yeah, that was a little head scratching thing there. But speaking of Jarvis Landry, he's asking for $30 million, and the Packers are already over the cap anyways. So how do you entice a receiver like that to come to Green Bay with like a $10, $12, $13 million deal?
Well, the thing is, though, is he's asking for a $30 million contract. He's not asking for $30 million a year.
Right. Okay.
So that $10 million a year, I could see that. Devontae was asking for $30 million a year. It was like $24 million when they threw the franchise tag on. So $10 million, they can make that work. I think they can make that work. And there again, at that point, Landry's 28. He's going to start getting ready to start teetering on the edge. He's got probably one big contract. If he's smart, he would sign a 1-year deal with the Packers.
Right.
Have a great year, have a breakout year, and then go out and get that one last big contract. If I'm him, that's what I do. If I'm Julio, I'm signing down anybody that can get me a ring.
Right. So Packers, Colts, possibly Kansas City Chiefs, like any of those teams for Julio Jones kind of makes sense. So Alpha Rob's, his man Cole Beasley was cut by the Buffalo Bills. Would a Cole Beasley work for somebody like the Green Bay Packers? I don't think that'd be a very good fit.
He would be a good fit for Green Bay. He's more of a slot guy, and Green Bay really doesn't need a slot guy. They've already got Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb took a huge pay cut just to stay in Green Bay with there.
Is he playing this year?
He is. He's under contract. He took a pay cut from $8 million to $3 million. And so right now, I think the receivers we have under contract, Lazard's technically not under contract yet, but there's a second-round tender on him. So nobody's going to touch him for a second-round pick. And then you have Cobb and you have Amari Rodgers, who played about 3 snaps last year. So
does that concern you at all, having just 3 receivers that have been on the team moving forward with a Hall of Fame quarterback?
A little bit, but not too much. The thing that more concerns me now is what can we get for Jordan Love now that you've basically wasted a first-round pick on a guy that's never going to play for you.
Well, do you think
they say they're not? They say they're not trying to move him,
right?
But you're not going to recoup a first-round pick for him. You're going to be lucky to get a third-round pick for him.
So that brings up a great point here, because Aaron Rodgers sat on the bench for 4 years right before he got to play in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers did sign a 3-year extension on his contract. So basically, Jordan Love, in theory, would be staying on the bench for 5 years. So what is the difference between then and now? Like, do you just think Jordan Love just doesn't have it, or like, what are your thoughts on that?
For me, it's his development. Gutekunst is never going to come out and say, I effed up. He's not going to do it because that was the first quarterback. That was his chance to make the mark on the team.
Right.
And it's just not. But if he hasn't developed the way he wants to or wants him to, and they haven't seen what they need to see from him, they're going to have to cut bait and say, sorry, they might. I could see the Packers ending up in for the next 10 years like a Denver Broncos thing, trying to find that quarterback, but try to always find a veteran that's got a few years left, like to keep your team relevant. There again, I'm a Packer fan. We've been spoiled since 1991.
Right.
That's 30 years of Hall of Fame quarterback play. It just doesn't continue. It's impossible unless for whatever reason we strike draft gold and find like the next Tom Brady in this draft. It's probably just not going to happen.
Yeah. And truth be told, on the surface, looking at the quarterback situation this year in the draft, I don't think there's anybody that really transcends a franchise upward, only downward this particular year. So
was it Ryder? Ryder probably is the closest thing from Cincinnati. He's probably the closest thing to a ready quarterback in this draft.
Yeah, probably. And even then, I would put him at the Zach type of realm there. Like, there's a lot of upside, but there's a lot of downside too. So that's a very tough.
I can't put him in the Zach is trash category yet.
Well, I'm not saying he is trash, but I'm saying Zach has a lot of potential, but he has a lot of down potential as well. You will never see that mediocre point for him right now. So somebody will trade for Zach Wilson after this year, and we'll just continue to see how right I was about him in his draft profile. Yeah, only time will tell. So speaking of trading there, let's go ahead and transition gears real quick, and then we'll swing back to the Green Bay Packers here. Does Baker Mayfield end up on the Jets in your opinion?
Not on the Jets?
Yeah.
No. I called it as soon as everything went down. Even though they're saying it's not being talked about, he's going to end up in Carolina, I think.
Even though Carolina has said that they don't want him?
Yep. I still think it happens because Carolina has the draft capital and they will get desperate enough the closer the season gets. They will pull the trigger. They're waiting for the price tag to come down. They don't want to pay the current price. I will almost guarantee it. Any team that says we're out of that market, it's because the price tag's too high.
Do you think
any team will come back in? I actually like Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold is a spot starter. He's going to be a career backup guy. That's a Fitzpatrick type.
Yeah,
he's going to have some good. He's going to play well in stretches and then terrible in stretches. So which
sucks for him because he had a great first 4 games of the year, and then CMC got hurt, and then the receivers got hurt, and then he got hurt. It was just a whirlwind. So and then they brought in Cam Newton for whatever reason. That was just stupid, but.
Well, if you have bought into your quarterback, you don't bring in your former starting quarterback because we're like, well, at least he can do the job. That doesn't instill a ton of confidence in your guy. And then they tried to kind of quarterback carousel at the last part of the year, which again does not do anything for the confidence of your quarterback at that point.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So let's switch back over to your Green Bay Packers here. You are a Green Bay Packer fan. You are a part owner. You used to live in Green Bay yourself, and you said you've been spoiled by quarterback play since 1991 with Brett Favre. When you saw Aaron Rodgers' contract calm down for $150.8 million over the next 3 seasons for an average of $50 million per year, what did you think about that? Was that a smart contract? Was it a smart move, or were they just kind of like shooting fish in a barrel, like at that point, hoping something sticks?
No, they wanted them back. They made no qualms with what they said. We really do want them back. It was trying to make all the money work and see where it was. And even with this contract, as much as like, see, I told you he was going to get this, it still gave him cap relief.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing, that it still gave them cap relief. And the big thing is because of the guaranteed and the bonus portion part of it. And that's where they're going to end up saving money. Now, if he decides to play that third year, I think his cap hits like $60 million or something like that year.
Stupid. Yeah.
And that's going to be just insane. So basically, because they've all said it, what it comes down to is essentially comes down to a 2-year deal. And then if he wants to rework, if he wants to keep playing after 40, they'll talk about it then. So it is 150 guaranteed. So essentially, if he plays 2 years, he's still going to get essentially $75 million a year. Just a lot of it's guaranteed and a signing bonus.
Right. So do you think Aaron Rodgers will play past the age of 40 over past these last 2 seasons?
I do. I really do. I think there's a lot of unfinished business. He really wants that second title just to get the moniker, just to get everybody off of his back.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because there again, growing up, it was, well, you're not a Hall of Fame quarterback if you don't have at least one Super Bowl. And I'm trying to figure out, when did this transition to you need to have at least 2 Super Bowls to be considered a great quarterback? You know, Dan Marino was considered one of the best ever, and he never won one. You know, again, I'll bring back up the point that people praise Drew Brees. Drew Brees only made 1 Super Bowl and won one. You know, but nobody talks about that, and so that's where I don't get the comparison that Rodgers needs to win a second one versus Drew Brees is considered to be one of the best, but he only went to 1 Super Bowl, and they choked in the playoffs before the NFC title games more than the Packers did.
Right.
So to me, it's unjust criticism. I get it where they're coming from, but it's at that point, it's to make a story to make a story. So I don't feel it's fair criticism.
Do you think this is like maybe a Brady versus Rodgers thing? Like Rodgers needs to play as many years as Tom Brady and maybe get a Super Bowl or 2 more just to be like a comparable mode type thing? Like, do you think like Aaron Rodgers is like a lot like thinking, well, I can't win 9 Super Bowls in 5 years, so I got to play longer than like he does to like solidify him as the best quarterback ever?
The thing is, he's not going to be the best quarterback ever. If anything, he'll be number 2 because Brady's the GOAT. Like, right. I have no problem saying that, because I mean, when you win 7 Super Bowls out of 10 tries, like you were, and you just go out and dominate whenever you feel like it. Like I said, like I kind of laugh at the meme about he finally got sick of his kids, so after a month and said, I'm going to go back and play football. Yeah. You know, I kind of picture something like that. I think it's more Aaron trying to be like, I think it's more of a jab at Brady than anything with playing the longevity. Like, oh, I know you can do it, but I can do it too, even though Aaron looks like a homeless person half the time.
or
Tom looks like he hasn't aged a day.
Yeah, well, he actually looks like he's aged backwards, honestly.
Yeah.
Hairline and jawline and everything else. So do you think this is maybe to get one up on Favre then, to get that extra ring, because Favre only got 1 as well?
But Favre still at least went to 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
I don't know if it's to get one up on Favre. I don't think so. I think it's because he genuinely likes to play the game. He loves to play the game. He's always kind of said the same thing Favre did. Like, when it's not fun anymore, I'll walk away. If it becomes too business-like, I'll just walk away. You know, I just think he really wants to win that second title. I think he got frustrated with the lack of the support he was getting from the team last year. And nobody's that's a Packer fan was going to say that they don't think that they could have did more. No, but again, I think every team, when they think that their team's ready to win a Super Bowl, is kind of on that cusp. But like, you know, when Favre was like, "Hey, get me a receiver," and Randy Moss got traded for like a 5th round pick, and Favre was like, "Really, you couldn't give up?" Oh, he's a 4th round pick. Like, yeah. You couldn't give up a 4th round pick like the Patriots did to get me Randy Moss.
And Randy Moss would have been pissed off to play, or he would love to play the Vikings 2 times a year. Like, he would have killed him.
Yeah. Absolutely. And he wanted to play with Favre, and Favre wanted to play with him. Like, there was a really big mutual interest. Like, there was really big buzz that he was probably coming to Green Bay, that they were like, okay, I think we're going to do this. And then they didn't pull the trigger because they're like, well, we didn't want to give him a 4th round pick from one of the arguably probably the greatest receiver of all time, you know?
Yeah. It's just, so Alpha Rob comes in and and says, I don't know about Brady. What do you guys think Brady really only had to worry about Manning in the AFC compared to now the AFC, where they have great quarterbacks?
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, back in the day, it was Brady versus Manning literally like every year. That was essentially probably the Super Bowl. Like, whoever won that duel and was probably coming out of the AFC, and you're going to have to beat them to win the Super Bowl. And then at that point, it was good luck. So he's not wrong. The AFC now is just stacked. I mean, the AFC West wins any division. Any team wins any division outside of that division. It's like they said, like, I was listening to one of the shows, and they're like, well, with Devontae Adams going to Las Vegas, are they still the fourth best team in that division? Everybody's like, yeah, but they're a really good fourth place team, and I agree with them.
Yeah,
they're the best, probably fourth place team in all of football. It's going to turn into a thing kind of like we were talking about last year with the NFC West. We're like, yeah, if every team made the playoffs, it wouldn't shock me. And they did. They sent what? 3? They sent 3.
Yep. And the only reason why the Seahawks didn't, because the Seahawks have just been playing terrible the last couple weeks. So speaking of the Seahawks, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's the other part is you got. I'm a Packer fan, but I'm gonna call them idiot Packer fans. Like, we should trade for DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. Money.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett signed a big deal. DK Metcalf is still on his rookie deal. However, in a year or two, he's going to cost about $30 million. So it makes no sense for them to trade for them.
Yeah. This is when we get into like things where everybody like, oh, I want to go out and get the best player and put him on our team. Well, sometimes the best player out there does not fit your system, i.e. Cole Beasley that we just talked about, right. a half hour ago. He does not fit the Packers system whatsoever. Then it comes down to the other side of having the cash to pay these players. Yes, you can say, I want to go get Tyreek Hill. I want to go get DK Metcalf. You had to let Devontae Adams walk because you couldn't afford him. How are you going to afford a DK Metcalf? Like what you said, it makes perfect sense. And sometimes fans need a reality check. Like, hey, we can only rob Peter to pay Paul for so long until it catches up to us, and it's catching up to the Packers now.
Absolutely. I mean, look at, if you remember in like the mid to late 90s, like the Cowboys and the Niners both spent money like it was water on players when free agency first started, and all of a sudden all those bills started coming due, and they were stuck in purgatory for 4 or 5 years trying to get themselves unburied from all of that dead money they had on their rosters. And, it's one thing that you really want to try to avoid to do. And that's where I don't get how the rest of the league has not picked up on how the Patriots do it. Because the Patriots have remained competitive. They have built through the draft. They've gained capital, and they just restock, all while still playing. And again, it comes down to knowing when to let certain players walk.
Right,
but you even hear the Patriots say, "We need a receiver. We need a receiver. We need a receiver." You made the playoffs last year, and you were a pretty good team.
Yeah, you just got beat by the Buffalo Bills that played literally a perfect game, right? No 4 downs, no punts, whatever. Literally a perfect game. But let me talk about the New England Patriots here, and like how, like you said, they have been competitive every year forever. It seems like. Wasn't that the Tom Brady effect, though? Didn't Tom Brady get them to that competitive point every year? Or are you saying the management really knows how to, pull players and deal players and all that other stuff?
Well, and it's a combination of both, because Tom never went after and said, I need to be the top paid quarterback in the league. Right. Tom would take very extremely team-friendly deals so they could still build around him. Now, the later years, they didn't build anything. I will give him credit. They didn't put any receivers around him later in his years, and he still was dominant. Right. But they did it, and I give the management the credit, because they would get players. They would get players that the other teams would think are washed up, and they would get them for pennies on the dollar. And that person would come back and play. Right. And they would come out and they would play like they were in their prime for maybe a year or two, and they didn't care after that. If they got 2 years out of you and they got 2 really good years out of you, guess what? That player probably just earned himself another contract, and somebody's now going to overpay for them, but they got their money's worth out of you. And they've been really good as well at that with, bringing people in and letting them walk at the same time as well.
Yeah, and then Alpha Rob says Brady is doing the same thing in Tampa Bay right now. Is he, though? Is he really getting those players that nobody wants and turning? I mean, Tampa Bay was a really good team constructed before Tom Brady was there, and then he brought in some pieces, yes, but that was just like a Gronk and Antonio Brown. We know how that turned out. Do you think Tampa Bay will be the next New England Patriots where they are competitive every year?
Well, but I mean, Brady was already wavering this year, so I can't really say because Brady could very well be gone. I think Brady's just mad. He wanted to go out with another Super Bowl, and he got knocked out of the playoffs. And I think that eventually is what was fueled his decision to come back, was because he's like, I got knocked out. I played a really good game. I didn't play great at the start, but I lit it up at the end, and now it's the fire's back. It's let's finish something that we started. But again, they're going to start running into the money thing because now Chris Godwin is getting a big contract. Mike Evans got his big contract a couple of years ago. They're good. As you saw, they've lost a couple of linemen. It's going to come down to how well they can replace those linemen. Yeah, so, this isn't going to be the dominant offensive line that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had in 2021. It's going to have different pieces.
Are you saying that Tom Brady will not last a full season in 2022?
No. He's outside of that one play where I think that was against Kansas City when he blew his knee out, wasn't it? Like on the second play of the game?
Yeah, they did the horse collar tackle and tore his ACL. Yep.
Yeah. Outside of that, he's never really been injury prone. So the man takes care of his body like it's a temple. Like I take care of mine like it's a temple, just a really fat one.
Just a really fat temple. So we have been talking a lot about cash flow and like how teams are managing money and like all that stuff. Obviously, we've seen Tyreek Hill go down to Miami for a crazy deal, but then your boy up there in Green Bay, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, did leave for Kansas City. How big a punch of a gut was that for you? Just because like I thought he was kind of the glue of your receiver cord. Like, how do you feel about that?
He was our take the top off the defense guy. That was it. And it's like I said, he could run past almost anybody in the league, but whether or not he'd catch the ball, that's a 50-50 shot. That's been the biggest question with him is his hands. He's never had 1,000-yard season ever. It doesn't matter in college, anything. He's never had 1,000-yard receiving season. He's a good receiver, but for $36 million, you paid him an average of $10 million a year. Not even close. Like he's a $4 to $5 million a year guy. I compare him to a receiver that you guys had, Chris Conley.
Yep.
That's kind of who he reminds me of. So, he's not a huge loss. Speed burners are a dime a dozen in the NFL. If you go by the Al Davis logic of if they're just fast, I'll just draft them anyways. You're going to find somebody, but you can't teach guys. You can't teach guys to catch.
Right. So do you think the Kansas City Chiefs were kind of in like a panic mode? Like, hey, we just lost our speed guy and we need to replace a speed guy. So
because they signed him before they traded. They signed him before they traded Tyreek. But it wasn't
official yet.
But it was out there. At that point, you had to know Tyreek was on his way out the door because essentially you just signed a clone receiver of him, except without that Tyreek's got better hands. So you knew something was in the works as soon as they signed him. Because what are you going to do? Put Tyreek on one end and MVS on the other side, just send them both straight down the field every time?
Yeah. See, but I want to say that MVS is probably a better receiver than Tyreek Hill. Not because of the hands, just because you can't teach somebody to catch the ball, but his route running is a lot better than Tyreek Hill's, and I feel with the right system and like utilized right, we are going to see him explode in the fantasy football side of things this particular season. And you being the fantasy football guy, would you take him and in the later rounds, 7th, 8th, 9th pick?
No. His career high in touchdowns is 6. So in 2018, he had 38 catches for 581 yards and 2 touchdowns. 2019, he had 26 catches, 452 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2020, he had 33 catches. This is his career high, 690 yards for 6 touchdowns. 2021, he had 26 catches for 430 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Also, on the flip side of that, though, he was like the 4th receiver on your guys'
No, he wasn't.
teams, right?
No, he was not. He was our 2nd receiver because he was a speed receiver. He took over 2 years ago as the other starting receiver because of his speed.
Huh.
And if you look at his stats, they've stayed pretty much consistent. That doesn't scream somebody that deserves a 3-year, $36 million contract. It just goes to show they knew they were going to trade Tyreek, and they did hit the panic button and signed the next closest thing that could clone him to be the receiver.
So there was definitely panic in Kansas City, and I think they overreacted as well, because there are some good speed receivers in the draft that they could have got as well if they're worried about that speed aspect here. But Torry, before I let you go, I got to ask you this. Albert Pujols says this is his last year in the major leagues. Did he hang on for too long and his legacy's kind of been tarnished?
I mean, a lot of guys do. And I wish he would have just hung him up. Why not just go out a champion with the Dodgers? But he's coming. He went back to St. Louis. He's coming back. He said this is going to be it. Honestly, I think he's coming back to play with Yachty one more year, and they're both going to hang it up together. That's the only reason I think he came back to St. Louis, was to play with Yachty for one more year.
Yeah, wouldn't it be the ultimate smack in the face that the Cardinals sent him down to AAA?
I'm pretty sure they're not going to do that.
Man, he would be pissed. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, but he's there to DH once in a while. That's it. That's all he's there for. He's not the 40 home run hitter he was. He's a 220. He might give you 10 to 15 dingers this year. Hitter. He's still going to come through in some clutch moments, because that's just who he is. But it's not. You're not getting the Albert Pujols of old. That's for sure.
Yeah. When did he get traded to the Angels? Was that like?
He didn't get traded. He signed.
Oh yeah,
he signed as a free agent. I think
2015, 2014 or something.
Yeah, it's 2014 to 2015, and even at that point, it was like, ooh,
yeah,
you just gave him a pretty long deal.
Yeah, I feel like he probably should have retired about 2017, because like after that, you didn't hear anything about him. Yes, he was on the West Coast. We're on the East Coast. I get that they play like at 2:00 in the morning. I understand, but you never saw him really, competing.
Well, you heard about Trout. You never heard about Pujols.
Right, which is
I think
crazy.
Well, I think now you can just hear about Ohtani and not about Trout, because let's be honest, Trout's been injury prone the last couple of years. His career's about Ken Griffey, which is awful.
Yeah, it sucks. So one more thing, overtime rules are being addressed in the NFL meetings here. Many people want a 2-possession thing, but Mike Tomlin is saying let's go back to the old overtime rules, sudden death. First team that scores that wins. What is your ideal overtime rules?
I do what college does. Go just shoot it out. But again, that's the college game. There's money on the line. There's more injuries on the line. There's careers on the line in the NFL. And I think that's what they have to. If they want to talk about player safety, the better option would be to go back to the actual sudden death. But are the players going to be happy about that? No, because I see the other side of it. Both teams should get a shot at it.
Yeah,
I get that part. But if you're genuinely concerned about player safety, you're going to the 1-possession sudden death overtime, because you're getting them players off the field earlier.
What if we just went a shootout style and had the kickers duel it out?
Just back it up 5 yards every time they make one?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not exciting. And that's the thing. That's not going to make exciting money. That's not going to make money for the NFL, because they want to see, Cortland Sutton take a 75-yard pass from, Russell Wilson to the house to beat, the Chiefs. Or like that's what the stuff that they're looking for.
If that happens, I'm kicking you square in the nuts. I just want to let you know.
I just want you to mark it and say, oh my God, Torry Anderson foreshadowed this.
On March 28th here. Ralph Rob says overtime just be 5 minutes long. The problem with that is one drive in overtime can take 4 minutes and 58 seconds.
Right. And and I would be okay with that, but let them start at the 20. And just give it to them right in the red zone then. And
just slight caution.
Kind of, except 5 minutes. And you could run a lot of time off the clock from the 20, because you can still get a first down.
Yeah. So let's say 40 seconds per play. That's 80. Right there's, a minute and a half in just 2 plays. Yeah.
Right.
So,
which would put pressure on and then that would put the pressure on the team that did not win the toss.
Right.
So it's no different than a 2-minute drive.
It sucks. But in the end, Torry, it is that time of night where we got to let you go, my man. Thank you for tuning in, or thank you for jumping in. Happy birthday. Enjoy your birthday. Hopefully your 45 treats you as good as 44 did, and we look forward to having you back on the Man Hour very, very soon, my man.
All right. I'll talk to you later, Buck.
Fantasy football's coming.
I'm ready.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, guys, that was Torry Anderson, the man, the myth, the legend himself, guys. And we're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back right after this.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. 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 Anything negative, cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my fucking mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. I tell you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase them? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up shit, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't